We are taking chapter number 1 on equality. Question and answer on equality. In a democracy, why is universal adult franchise important? So in a democracy, every citizen of a country is equal. The concept of universal adult franchise is based on equality. That is why it is important for democracy. Under this universal adult franchise, every adult, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, or sex, is allowed to vote. Article 15, you need to reread it and state two ways in which this article addresses the inequality. So this article addresses inequality in terms of access to shops, public restaurant, hotels, places of public entertainment, and the second part says the use of wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads and places of public resort maintained by the government is open for general public. In what ways was Om Prakash Valmiki's experience similar to that of the Ansaris? Both Valmiki and Ansaris were subject to discrimination, one on the basis of caste, the other on the basis of the religion. So Om Prakash was not allowed to sit with other students in the classroom and was made to sweep the school and the playground only because he was a Dalit. Similarly, the Ansaris were not given a flat in a locality where lived the people belonging to religion which is other than Ansaris. The moment the landlady came to know their names, she declined to rent the house. So in both the cases, the dignity of person is violated and they are being discriminated. What do you understand by the term all persons are equal before the law? Why do you think it is important in a democracy? So this means that every person from the president of the country to domestic help like Kanta has to obey the same laws. No person can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion, race, caste, etc. Every person has equal right and access to all public places like playgrounds, hotel, shops and market, and all places funded by government or made by government like wells, roads, bathing ghats is accessible to everyone. So equality is the soul of democracy. So we know that democracy is a form of government which gives equal right, importance and recognition to all. If inequalities on the basis of race, the religion, caste continue to exist, democracy would never flourish. It will perish. The Government of India passed the Disabilities Act in 1995. This law states that persons with disabilities have equal rights and that the government should make possible their full participation in the society. The government has to provide free education, integrate children with disabilities or special abilities into mainstream schools. This law also states that all public places, including the buildings and school, should be accessible and provided with ramps. So this is a photograph, and just think that a boy being carried down the stairs. Do you think the above law is being implemented in this case? What needs to be done to make the buildings and other areas accessible to him? How would his being carried down the stairs affect his dignity as well as safety? Now the boy in the photograph is specially abled child. As per the law, this building should have been accessible for him. But we see the law is not being implemented in this case. He is being carried down by security personnel or other people through stairs. And this building does not provide ramps. The boy's dignity is overlooked here. He may morally feel inferior. and the way he is carried down the stairs may prove dangerous also. The law should take this case to the court. What is Juthan about? So it's a book. This is the story, you can say, or the autobiography written by Om Prakash Valmiki. So it's about the bitter experiences of growing up of a Dalit boy. What suggestion was given to Ansaris by the property dealer? The property dealer suggested Ansaris to change their names and call themselves as Mr. and Mrs. Kumar. On what basis were the Ansaris treated unequally? On the basis of their religion, they were Muslims, that is why they were discriminated, or you can say they were treated unequally. What do you mean by dignity? Dignity means thinking of oneself and others as worthy of self-respect. What are the two ways in which the government has tried to implement equality that is guaranteed in the Constitution? First of all, through making laws, and then schemes and government programs to help the or underprivileged groups who have been employed to cook the meal under midday meal scheme. Dalit women have been employed for this purpose. How did B.R. Ambedkar view self-respect? B.R. Ambedkar, the architect of the Indian Constitution, viewed self-respect as the most vital factor in life, without which one or any man was just a cipher. What was the condition of Afro-American or African Americans in the USA, United States of America, prior to 1950s? Before this, the Afro-American they are called as, were treated extremely unequally in the USA, and they were denied equality through law. What is known as civil rights movements? The movement took place in USA in the late 1950s to push for equal rights for Afro-Americans. This movement later came to be known as civil rights movement. What is it that makes Kanta unsure? Kanta is a poor domestic worker. She lives in a slum which is very filthy, not clean, she lives by the drain, you can say. Her daughter is sick, but Kanta cannot skip work because she needs to borrow money from her employer to take her daughter to the doctor. Her job as a domestic help is not permanent, tiring as well. She can be removed by her employer anytime. Mention two different kinds of inequalities that exist in our country. Give examples. So, in the chapter also we saw about two inequalities. First is inequalities based on caste system. The other is based on religion. Om Prakash Valmiki was treated extremely unequally because he was a Dalit. In school, his headmaster made him to sweep the school and the playground. The Ansaris, because they are from minority community, Muslim community, was treated unequally on the basis of differences of religion. They were looking to rent an apartment. They were about to take an apartment at the first sight, but the moment the landlady came to know that they were Muslims, she declined to rent the house. Write a note on equality of Indian democracy. So the Indian Constitution recognizes all persons as equal. That means every citizen of the country, irrespective of her caste, religion, educational and economic backgrounds, is recognized as equal. Although inequality still exists in the country, yet the principle of equality of all persons is recognized. While earlier no law was there, no law existed to protect the people from discrimination and ill treatment. Now there are several that work to see this law that the people are treated with dignity. Write a brief note on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Civil Rights Act was passed in the year 1964. The Act prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, religion, and national origin. It also stated that all schools would be open to Afro-American children and that they would no longer have to attend separate schools specially set up for them. However, majority of Afro-American continue to be among the poorest in the country. What are the provisions made in the Constitution for the recognition of equality? So the provisions in the Indian Constitution for the recognition of equality, that is in Article 15, every person is equal before the law, which means that every person from the President of India to a domestic worker like anybody like Kanta has to obey the same law. They have to abide by the law. No person can be discriminated against on the basis of religion, caste, race, place of birth, or whether they are from any gender. Every person has access to all public places, including the playgrounds, hotel, shop, and markets. And all person can use publicly available wells, roads, and bathing ghats. Untouchability, asprashyata, has been abolished. How can you say that establishment of equality in society is continuous struggle? This is why we say this. In spite of several efforts made by the government, inequalities still exist in our society. Even today, low caste people are being discriminated against, treated unequally. The Muslims are treated unequally on the basis of religion. The reason behind it is that people refuse to think them as one of their own or equally equal as the law would require. This attitude of some people, I'm not saying all the people, but some people, is deeply rooted and it will not change today. It will take a lot of time, like the generation you are. Even though people are aware that this discrimination is against the law, they continue to treat others unequally on the basis of caste and religion. So people are also discriminated against on the basis of economic status, disability, and gender. So unless people like us believe that every person deserves to be treated equally and with dignity, the present attitude cannot be rooted out. I am not saying change. It needs to be taken root apart. So changing people's attitude is a very slow process, and therefore the establishment of equality in society is an ongoing process, continuous struggle. So these were the question and answer of this topic. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.